Hello and welcome to Think Up. In today's program, I want to look at the truck driver strike in Iran that is currently happening. It's the third strike already this year. There was one in May, one in July, and now the latest one started on September 22nd. There are hundreds of thousands of truck drivers on strike. It has spread to over 280 cities overall in Iran. And I'm here with Ali Javadi, who is in the leadership of the WPI, to discuss this. Welcome, Ali.
Thank you for having me.
Ali, tell us a little bit about the background of the strike. What are the demands of the truck drivers, and what is the situation?
As you mentioned, this is a huge strike in the transport worker segment in the working class. It is a significant strike because of the size and also the importance and the role that the truck drivers and the transport workers play on the transport of the goods from the factories, from the ports to the cities and to their destinations, wherever they are targeted. And if you want to know about a little bit about the Iran situations in terms of the transferring of the goods from one point to the other point, it is not mainly done by the rails, rather it is done by the large vehicles, and the truck drivers are the significant workers and important in this segment. As you mentioned that they have been on the third round of their strikes. In this round, which at the time that we are recording this interview, is about their 14 days of the strike. They have been on a strike for 2 weeks. Their main demand is about their wage and their living and their working conditions. They are living under poverty wages. Their total income is less than the poverty line established by the Islamic regime of Iran. And it is very dramatic to live under those conditions. Their working conditions are quite harsh, long hours of working, and also unsafe, a lot of unsafe conditions. Their demands that they have been articulated by their leaderships and the workers are basically about increasing the wages, increasing the safety and the conditions that they work in. A lot of times they are working with the tires, which are working tires, and they don't have the means of replacing it. Parts are very expensive due to the change of the exchange rate currency in Iran. Also, they're asking for the insurance, supplementary insurance. The reason is that their working condition, they're demanding that it should be recognized as a very harsh and demanding working conditions. They're also concerned about the bribery, corruptions that exist in the loading and the unloading stations, and also the police stations and so on. And also they're concerned about the highway tolls, the taxes and the tariffs that are levied against these drivers. As a whole, they're basically asking for better living condition, better working condition, safer conditions, and improving their living conditions that they're under.
So, and as it is the third strike in a year, we can assume that the Iranian government has not given them anything they have demanded before.
They have given them some lip service, nothing tangible, nothing that they causes their concern to be satisfied. Contrary to that, the Islamic regime, similar to what has done historically, has used its oppressive rules and means in order to suppress this strike as much as possible. They have arrested a significant number of these workers and drivers, amounting to about 150 of them, and they have threatened them with the death penalty and the executions. But these threats and these intimidation tactics by the government has not stopped the workers. They are effectively using the social media, they are effectively using and asking for the support from the other segment of the society and the working class, and basically they have stayed the course in terms of continuing the strike in order to reach their demands and basically push the government back to the position that gives in to their concerns.
Let's talk a little bit about the impact that the strike has, because you mentioned earlier the truck drivers are actually a very significant part of the transport system in Iran. So what has been the impact on the society because of the strike, and what has been the reaction of society?
This is a very interesting issue to look at. We are talking about the service workers, and traditionally, if you look at around the labor strikes, service workers have been more difficult to organize and launch an effective strike. And we are talking about Islamic regime of Iran, which historically and every day has suppressed any and all kinds of movements, any kinds of strikes and protests in Iran. But they have not been able to suppress these workers. This is the third round that they're on the nationwide, they are going on a strike. As you mentioned, about 286 cities, the drivers in these cities have launched a strike. These are the segment of the working class that, they are not physically located in one place. They only meet at the loading station and unloading station. The rest of the time they are on the roads, isolated, atomized. But despite these conditions, working conditions, they have been able to effectively organize themselves. And in terms of the history of the working class in Iran, this is, I think, one of the first time during the Islamic regime that one segment of the working class has been able to launch a countrywide strike against the Islamic regime on this mass scale that basically is paralyzing the transportation of goods from one point to the other point in the country. And as we have seen, the reaction of the Islamic regime that has been trying to suppress them, intimidate them, and also trying to use conspiracy tactics in order to indicate that the strike has ended. But the workers have effectively counteracted that and indicated that yes, they are on the strike and the strike is going on. The other thing is that the tactics that the workers have used in terms of gaining the support and the solidarity of other segments of the working class in Iran, particularly the nurses, the educators, the teachers, the retiree workers, and also other workers. And they are saying that our problems are your problems, we should unite. And basically this impacts the entire society in a way that we are at the verge of a massive changes and fundamental changes of Iran. People are tired, are fed up with the Islamic regime, and this kind of larger scale countrywide strike basically is an opening, is a new beginning for the general strikes that we have always asked for, and the workers could come forward strong in this scale. And they have shown that, they have paved the way, they have shown that it can be done. It can be done despite the suppressive measures that the government every day tries to impose on these workers, but they can basically offset it and launch an effective strike. It has a significant impact on the other part of the society, and it gives hopes to the other segments, even if it doesn't get to its own objectives, but it already has its footprint and marks on the movement in Iran against the Islamic regime for a better world.
So how do you see where this strike might be going, where this whole movement might be going? What could it lead to?
At this point, it has had its significant effect. We are seeing that, also on the international arena, we are seeing that the transport workers in United States, in Europe, in Canada, they are supporting their fellow workers in Iran. So that dimension, we are seeing some movements, which is quite, interesting and positive. On the other hand, in terms of, its own objective, the government has tried to give in, but with intimidation tactics, with the suppressive tactics, and they try to say that we will try to meet you and try to come up with some sort of a plan in terms of supporting you with the parts that you need. They want to meet them halfway. Obviously, they don't want this strike to be a successful strike. They will try everything in terms of suppressing them. But as you said, this is the third round of the strike, and it's going strong. The government has no choice but to give in to some demands of this strike in order to have any effect in terms of what the outcome will be. But more than that, in addition to what the government will do and or what these workers will be able to achieve, they have achieved something which is of far more significant, and that is the solidarity, that is the mark that they have had on the protest movement in Iran. And basically they have said that yes, we can launch a strike on the country-wide scale and be successful and counteract the suppressive measures of the Islamic regime and ask for our demands and push our demands and gain the supports of other segments of the society in terms of the working class parts.
Ali Javadi, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
This was Think Up. Until next time, goodbye.